Hey everybody, this is Kevin Bass at the dietwars.com, and I want to talk to you I want to talk to you guys today about seed oils, the hyper-processed seed oils that are bleached, deodorized, and treated with chemicals. And our engine lubricants. Well, I would like to comment before I actually talk about the subject at hand that that may be true. That may be true. Seed oils may be bleached, deodorized, chemically treated, heated, etc., in order to process them, and they may be used as engine lubricants. But you know what's also done? All that same stuff is done too, and also as an engine lubricant. Lard. But to the point of the video. So everybody on the internet knows that seed oils cause oxidation. And in this video, I want to talk about that. Do they cause oxidation? Do they cause oxidative stress? Do the double bonds in seed oils, do they get oxidized and thereby cause all sorts of havoc on the cells and on the body? Because an oxidized seed oil is reactive, and since it's reactive, it binds to things and disrupts the processes of different cells, the metabolic processes. And it signals bad things. It creates reactive oxygen species. Okay, I'm going to talk about that issue. But before I do, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Kevin Bass. I'm an MD PhD student. I am interested in this topic in particular because I'm interested in misinformation in general, especially nutritional misinformation. But this topic in particular is near and dear to my heart because seed oils are blamed for everything. So everything bad is caused by seed oils. Every single thing bad is caused by seed oils. And that's what we see on the internet. There was a recent article put out in Vice. It actually featured me. I was in the last, few paragraphs of the article. I was quoted at length because I was interviewed by the person who wrote it. It's a really good article about seed oils and Bitcoin. And in that article, it was clear that they were attributing seed oils to everything bad under the sun, including skin cancer, literally under the sun. And I want to point out that seed oils don't have most or maybe even any of the terrible effects that are attributed to them. They're not to blame for everything. That doesn't necessarily mean you want to quaff them, like just start chugging them down. It doesn't mean that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting that that's what you want to do. But I want to say that you can't blame everything on them. And you can't actually blame most things on them. They're just a source of calories. And if you replace them with butter, for example, you just made all processed food that contains seed oils, you just made it contain butter instead, we'd probably be worse off. We'd probably be worse off. Because we'd probably have higher LDL levels, LDL cholesterol levels, because butter's going to raise LDL cholesterol relative to seed oils. And we probably have more cardiovascular disease. Now, are seed oils a health food? Maybe it's better to use olive oil or avocado oil. I don't know. You guys can do what you like. Maybe I've had a conversation recently. I had a conversation with Peter Attia about this. He pointed out that the precautionary principle is at play here. We know for sure that olive oil is good. We don't necessarily know for sure seed oils are good. Okay. And then there's some weak evidence in some of the old cardiovascular outcome studies that seed oils might be, not necessarily 100% wholesome. It's weak evidence. I don't really buy it, but I can see the argument. And so therefore you use the precautionary principle. Just tell people to eat olive oil instead. Great. But definitely use olive oil and don't do butter. That's definitely going to be your go-to. Just to be clear about that, it's definitely going to be your go-to. It's not going to be the seed oils. Okay, cool. In this video, I want to talk about the oxidation, though, in particular, because everybody says, again, as I mentioned earlier, everybody says that seed oils are oxidized. There's rampant oxidation of seed oils. As a result, they form adducts to different proteins. They form adducts to different other things in the cell membrane, and they wreak havoc on the cell. They cause signaling cascades that are inflammatory, etc. There's no evidence for any of this. Like, I can't find anything. I've argued with the world's top scientists about this. I've tried to find studies, and I've tried to bring them to the world's top scientists, and I talk to them about it. I'm like, God, no matter what I look for, I can't find any evidence. I can't find evidence to support these claims. I'm trying. I really am. I'm desperately trying because I want to find that I'm wrong. One of the things that I looked at today was the Big Five. If you guys know what the Big Five is, it's the Big Five personality traits. It's some of the most robust and rigorous way of assessing personality. I'm really high in openness to experience. I love to learn new things. I'm super high. I'm between 96th and 99th percentile. I'm super high. I love to learn things. I'm super curious. I'm super open to anything. I don't care. I love it. It's a passion of mine to learn. And so I'm trying to find where these claims are coming from. I'm trying to find a way to show that they're right. I can't find a way. What I could find were some of these studies I'm going to talk about right now. So there's this one study. It's a really interesting study. They took two groups of pigs. They assigned one to eat unheated sunflower oil and the other to eat heated sunflower oil. And this one is heated sunflower oil was heated to 200 degrees Celsius. That's double boiling temperature for water. So it's a really high temperature. The human body's 37 degrees Celsius. This is 200 degrees Celsius, or 392 degrees Fahrenheit. For 24 hours, they boiled, essentially, or not necessarily boiled, but they heated the sunflower oil to extreme temperatures for 24 hours straight. And they gave it for 24% of calories. 24% of calories. So a quarter of all their calories is just this heated oil. That should be terrible for them, right? So after 4 weeks of feeding, the pigs were killed and the intestines were examined under a microscope. Here's the cool thing. It's crazy. I couldn't even believe this study when we found it. While there were signs of oxidative stress, there were no injury and there was no inflammation in the intestines. Scientists surprised concluded that the pig intestinal cells could detoxify the oxidized byproducts of extensive oil oxidation without difficulty. And just, because I know somebody's going to jump in and say, well, what about the conflicts of interest? Who are they being paid by? Let me go look at the conflicts of interest of this study. Let's go see who they're paid by. And who do they work for? So they work for Institute for Ernährungswissenschaften at the Martin Luther Universität Halle-Wittenberg, which is I don't know where that is, but it's not a major university in Germany, but it's a university in Germany. So, it might be a major university, but it's not a major university. Yeah, they don't report any conflict of interest here in the study. Okay, and they're associated with the university. They're not a company, right? Okay, that's all I got. I don't know. Maybe Unilever paid them to do this study, but it doesn't look like it, right? It looks like they're just a group of scientists who are interested in this. Otherwise, if it was Unilever to do it, they would have been there might have been more assays. It might have been published in a higher impact journal, higher profile journal. This looks like just some people interested in this stuff, and they did this study. So they didn't find. Okay, so they didn't find any effect on the intestinal cells. Okay. And this is consistent with the human studies. So if you look at the human studies, and by the way, I want to read to you guys what the title of that study was. It's called "Oxidized Fat Induces Oxidative Stress But Has No Effect on NF-kappa B-Mediated Pro-Inflammatory Gene Transcription in Porcine Intestinal Epithelial Cells." And it's by Ringgeis, Pivek, P-I-W-E-K, and then Eder, E-D-E-R, or Eder in German or something like that. Okay, all right, that was that study. But these data are consistent with the human studies. So in a review of 10 randomized controlled trials comparing high vegetable oil to low vegetable oil diets, randomized controlled trials, so assigning people to do different groups, seeing what happens, there's no difference in markers of inflammation despite some of these trials using heated oils. Now, if you're having all this terrible crap happen to the body whenever you're getting heated oils, or any sort of thing that you're taking in, any sort of dietary thing, and the body's like holy crap, you're messing with me, I'm doing poorly, then you know what's going to happen? You're going to produce inflammatory molecules, because inflammation is a way to respond to injury. Inflammation is a way to resolve injury. So inflammatory molecules are happen in response to inflammation, in response to injury. There's no injury because there's no inflammation. Some trials actually show a reduction in inflammation from omega-6 fatty acids. I haven't even talked about that. And I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I'll talk about that in another video. But there's no increase in inflammatory markers in these trials using heated oils. And this is consistent with the epidemiology, which shows that the consumption of fried foods and vegetable oils is associated with benefit or inconsistent effects. Now, sometimes fried foods are associated with bad things, for sure. That may be due to all sorts of other things, but vegetable oils in general are associated with positive with benefits. Fried foods are maybe a little more iffy for reasons that should be obvious, right? And so as we saw, uncooked oils are already associated with health benefits in the epidemiological and shorter term biomarker studies. Vegetable oils are often exposed to higher temperatures during extraction. By the way, just like lard and tallow, industrial lard and tallow is all subjected to higher temperatures and almost identical processing practices. I just want people to understand that, because when we talk about industrial oils, blah, 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 they're treated so badly in order to make, no. In order to make industrial oils, you use the same processes used to make industrial tallow or industrial lard. It's the same thing. I just want people to know that. But anyway, I want to go back. Brief additional heating should not thus be expected to produce much additional oxidation, and far less than in the pig study above. So if you go in a restaurant, you're not going to get massive amounts of oxidation on the level of what we saw in that sunflower oil study. Because that sunflower oil study, they had 24 hours at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not what you're going to see in a restaurant. They're not open for 24 hours straight. Although they might do it several days. Somebody's going to have to correct me. Maybe they keep the oils going for several days. I'm not actually sure. But yeah, so maybe it's comparable. I don't know. Somebody will have to let me know. In any case, as we saw, uncooked oils are already associated with health benefits in epidemiological and short-term studies. Oh yeah, vegetable oils are often exposed to high temperatures during extraction. I just read that. It is possible that some kind of harm could be caused by the consumption of oxidized oils in the quantities consumed by humans, perhaps in a fast food study, but this has not ever been shown. It's not been shown. You can have all sorts of studies that show different molecules that are the result of heating, all this other stuff, but that doesn't mean that anything's harmful. All right. So, but what about markers of oxidative stress or other markers associated with disease? We should now turn to this. So, I think this is the last thread that I wrote on this account, and we can talk about markers of oxidative stress or other markers associated with disease in another video. But if you liked this, if you're now convinced, like I am, that oxidized vegetable oils don't necessarily increase the markers of oxidation, even really robustly, even really large amounts, as I am, look, find me some good studies. Find me some good studies where animals are consuming these oils and you're seeing this big effect. I would love to see them. Please send them to me. Until then, and I will make a video if you do. If you can show me some really good studies, just one good study, right? That's a good study. I'll talk about it. Ideally, you'll send me all the studies you know of on this topic, and then I can kind of put it all together. I've looked as best as I can, but I could have missed something. So let me know. And if you like the video, hit subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. Hit subscribe. If you also please leave a comment. The more comments, so just say for the algorithm, all capital letters, for the algorithm, for mortar, for Middle Earth. Write in the comments that you are for the algorithm. if you don't have anything particular to say. Or just ask some questions, make some comments. It helps, the algorithm helps me to get my videos out there. Share is great, and then check me out on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. All those are going to be at Kevin N. Bass, KevinnNBass. YouTube is going to be KBass Philadelphia. And then Patreon is Kevin N. Bass, KevinnNBass. Send me some money. Sign up as a $5 per month patron, or start up as a $100 per month patron. I can talk to you on the phone if you do that. Or you can also set up an independent consult. Send me a message. And if you're a patron and you have some questions, you want to send some questions to me over DM, send them to me over DM on Twitter or Instagram. Leave a review or a rating on the podcast on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. That would be much appreciated. And send me some feedback. Let me know how I'm doing, if I'm doing good or bad. It'd be great to send feedback over Apple Podcast reviews. Write a review. That would be fantastic. Help me climb the ranks. Appreciate you guys' support. Check out the next video. Peace.